Live from the J.C. Newman Cigar Studio and the Gurkha Cigar Studio in the...
Here you go.
Live from the J.C. Newman Cigar Studio and the Gurkha Cigar Studio in the great state of New Hampshire, welcome to the Smokin Tobacco Show with your hosts, Matt Tobacco and Smokin Nicole.
Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Smokin Tobacco Show. My name is Matt Tobacco from SmokinTobacco.com, and I'm joined once again by Smokin Nicole, sitting to my left, lighting up her cigar.
Why not?
Yeah, bring the mic up a little bit. There we go.
I'm not even paying attention.
Yeah.
I'm so tired today.
There you go. Now people can hear you.
I know. It must be nice.
That would be appropriate. Or else, what are we doing here?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm half asleep. I have not been sleeping well.
That's not really something you should say on the show.
Why?
I don't know. It just makes you look unprepared.
I'm tired. There's real life out there.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just worried about you. That's all. What are you smoking? An Atabay?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're gonna get to that, but that's a nice choice. That's a nice
We'll talk
choice.
about it in a little bit.
Oh, look at you treating yourself.
Why not?
I know. Anyway, we do have a good show for you guys tonight. We have some cool stuff to talk about. We have a guest with us. I'm gonna bring him in. I don't want to make him wait too long because we have a lot to get to. It is our good friend, the executive director of the Premium Cigar Association, Mr. Joshua Habursky. Josh, what's up? How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You know, you've been on this show several times. You always have a place here. It's always great to have you on the show. It's an honor to have you on the show. I know you're busy. I appreciate your time. So anytime we can get you to sit down with us is great. It's really great. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you.
I'm trying to remember the last time. You probably, I mean, I usually don't let you go too far without coming on the show. So probably was right before PCA last year, I want to say, is the last time we saw each other. I'm trying to think if anyone came on after the show, but so it's probably been around a year. Obviously, some things have happened throughout the course of the year. We have another trade show coming up in, what's today? Is it less than 2 months? When's day one?
Yeah, less than 2 months. I think we have a counter on the website.
Yeah, Nicole usually is on that. It's are we under 60 days? I think so. We're under 60 days. I mean, this is it's happening. Man, it happened so fast. You know, it was funny because was it last year or the year before? I think it was the year before when you moved it to the spring. That one felt long, or no, that one was short. And then going to last year's show felt long because we did a July. Then we did like a March or an April because we moved it, so it was like less than a year. And then it was like 13 months until last year's show. So like the wait up to last year's show felt like forever. I was like, when are we going back to the show? And now I can't believe it. We're already
58 days.
58 days.
58 days.
It goes quick. It goes really, really quick. And of course, we're going to get into all that as well. But first, before we get too excited, we got to get our show set up. We got to get our show started. We're going to talk about some of the people who help make this show happen. And first and foremost, we couldn't be here without our friends at the number 2, guyscigars.com. That's right, the number 2, guyscigars.com. Head over there. I can't talk today. Head over there today for an amazing selection of premium cigars and accessories from brands you know and love, and maybe a few new ones you haven't quite discovered yet. Do yourself a favor, place an order at the number 2, guyscigars.com today. Josh, you are the guest. You are the VIP here tonight, so I'll let you kind of start us off. What are you smoking tonight?
So I'm smoking a Casa 1910. Currently, I've been going back to back. I just had a Rocky Gold label, and then I have a J.C. Newman Brick House lined up for a little bit later today.
Yeah, I mean those are some good cigars. I mean that Rocky Patel Gold. I mean the Brick House is a staple. It's a classic. I mean that's what's the word I'm looking for there. I don't want to use Old Faithful. I don't like that term, but it's a solid cigar that's been around. It's tried and true. The Rocky Patel Gold label came out a couple years ago, and I was a huge fan of that cigar. I think it was in our top 10 on our list. Really, really good blend. Really, really good blend. And the Casa 1910, they've been I remember when they first came out and they first started, and they've been building on that. So it's good to see them growing, and I hope it continues for them. So that's awesome. Where is you know what? I'll use this one. It's okay. So Nicole, I know you're smoking an Atabey.
Yeah.
Was that the
I can't remember the name. I was hoping on you, but our memory.
I'm trying to remember. There's so many. There's like 13 sizes in the line.
And I'm still recovering. I know you were, making fun of me for being tired, but remember I missed the show last week.
Yeah, I know. That is true. I forgot about that. Les missed you. He was disappointed.
Well, Anastasia gave me her cold, so it's been a rough week.
He didn't know. He didn't know you wouldn't be here, and he was devastated. But I get it. People are always devastated when you're not around, not when I'm not around.
I'm the fun one.
Yeah, it is what it is. I've made my peace with it. It's okay. And I am smoking the new. I have to look at it because I have to make sure I say it right. If I look at it, I can get it right, and I think I get it right. It's the new. I'll have the box.
Yeah, show off the box.
The new Sarzatus, the aromatic cigar from J.C. Newman.
What are your first thoughts on it?
It's really sweet. Really sweet.
Yeah, but what flavor profile of sweet?
I mean, it's a mild cigar. No, it's a sweet tipped.
No, okay, so it's sweet.
Yeah, no, it's sweet tipped. Yeah, and it's really sweet.
Okay.
It's not bad though. I mean, that's not a knock. I mean,
does it remind you of a Baccarat or a
little sweeter than that actually?
Huh.
Okay. A little more sweet. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's been a while since I smoked one of those, but my first impression was it was a little sweeter than that. So, but it's not bad. It's not bad. That's not. I mean, I've been known to smoke sweet cigars from time to time. It's not an everyday thing for me, but I don't hate them. There's people out there like, I don't do that. And it's like,
I don't love sweet cigars, but I do like a sweet tip.
Yeah.
But I don't like a flavored sweet cigar.
Every now and again, it's a fun little mix up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Kind of change it up. I remember being in Honduras. I had the split personality, the asylum. And I did 5 in a row. People were like, "Oh, you can't do this." And I'm like, "Well, we're at the factory. We're
just keep it going.
We're gonna do it."
And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going back to back. I'm not. And I haven't smoked one since, but I did 5 in a row.
That's pretty hardcore.
I'm not gonna lie. So last year at the show, I was in the booth, and I was with Tom, and we were going over the releases, and then he was like, "Oh, we got the split personality," and I was like, "Do you have any?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I gotta try this." And I never smoke on the floor because I got too much going on. I said, I gotta try this, and we sat down together, and we smoked it together, and he was like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "Tom, I'm not a big flavor infused guy. I don't not like it. I smoke them from time to time. I'm not against them whatsoever. But I like this a lot." And he's like, "Yeah." He's getting excited. He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, a good piece of banana bread with this. He's like, "Oh man, I didn't even think of that." He's like, I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "This is so good." I think I went home after that show, and I think I probably smoked 5 of them, over the next 2 weeks. I was like, "Oh yes," and then I forgot about it because I was going through all the other releases. And then when you said it, I'm like, "Oh, I got to get more of those." It's good.
Like a dessert. You break it up. It's not your main entree, but it's a dessert.
Either in the morning with your coffee, or late at night when you're all done and you just want a treat. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm getting excited. I mean, you brought it up. I'm already it's in my mind now. I got to get down to Two Guys and get some of those. I think they have them. I think they do. But yeah, that's what we're smoking tonight. And as always, cutting and lighting our cigars We like to shake up the legacy. Last week we had Les Mann on. He shook up the legacy with us. But our friends at SC Dupont help us shake up the legacy, featuring some of the newest products. I'll let you hold that one up. But we have the new Fuente collection. Nicole's got the lighter. I got the cutter. As well as the Deafy Windproof. Fantastic. This is our 2025 accessory of the year. Awesome stuff. Only the best. Nothing but the best. ST Dupont. And then, of course, our friends at Platinum Nova Cigars. Platinum Nova. Make Nova big. Smoke them today. Fantastic stuff. Great to have them with us again. Josh, now it's time to talk about you before we get into the other segments will come later and it'll break it up. But now let's get down to the brass tacks. I feel like Matt Booth is here when I say that. He said it once in an interview, and it just, I don't want to say ruined for me, but every time I say it, I think of that.
Think of him.
I do every time. We got the trade show, and then we got everything else. I guess let's talk about the trade show first. Second year in New Orleans. Well, not the true second year. It's been there, but since the return. This is the second year of the return. Second under your leadership. Last year's show, I'm going to let you speak on your behalf of that, but I'll just add this really quickly. From our perspective, Nicole wasn't there, but my perspective, and I think for most of the people I've spoken to, very successful show, great show, good turnout, great vibes. The weather was perfect. No issues, no nothing. That was a great show, and I just want to say a job well done to you and to everyone over at the Premium Cigar Association who helped put that together. It was a great show. Great job.
Thank you. It was phenomenal, and I think this year we're going to raise the bar again. We've set some new expectations with hospitality and experience, and the social events and offerings, throughout the time. And I think we assuaged some of the concerns about, being able to smoke in New Orleans. And I think there's going to be even more offerings this year with, new parties. I know right as we speak, Pro Cigars going on. Pro Cigar will be doing a party for Dominican brands this year. That will be something new. And, we have favorable conditions. The governor is a cigar enthusiast. Actually, 2 days before I go to New Orleans, I'll be in Baton Rouge having a cigar dinner with the governor. And he'll be coming to the show again this year. So, we have found a home in New Orleans. Not to say that we don't have a home in Las Vegas, but there's certainly some unique activations. That Friday is going to be jam-packed between the education sessions, and then there's just a series of parties. I mean, it goes, I think there's three or four in a row that, people can eat, drink, smoke until they're blue in the face.
Wow. That's a great way to put that. Drink and smoke too. I've tried to cut back on the drinking at the trade show these days. Just because of the, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. I gotta pace myself, but usually like the second to last night is like not the night before I leave, but maybe like the night before, because I don't want to be tired and hungover getting on a plane early in the morning. But like the night before that, that's like the night when I'll be like, all right, tonight's like my night. We're almost done. We made it this far. Maybe I'll sleep in a little extra tomorrow. We'll see. And I have a little bit of fun. So I'm excited to see what you guys have planned. I know last year you guys had the biggest hangouts that I remember was Cuban Creations and Manning's. And I think I spent more time at Manning's just because there was more room. And just it wasn't so tight. But certainly, both were packed. Most people I feel like and there was other places people were spread out, but those were like the two hubs that I think most people were at, that from people I saw and talked to and whatnot. And like I said, I think everyone had a great time. It was awesome. It was nice to have those. There was a little bit of the concern, like what do we do? But we got there, and it went how it went, and it was great. So
Yeah,
Do
and this year we'll have Cuban Creations again, and then the Sugar Mill slash warehouse. That will be the second location instead of Manning's, little
oh,
closer proximity. And when you're dealing with like the casino side of things, they are not as welcoming to cigar smoke,
mhm.
and we want to make sure that people have a good overall experience with that. So we made the decision to move that second location to the warehouse. There'll be spread out parties. We're going to be releasing a guide again where people, can smoke throughout the greater New Orleans area. And, we have a couple other activations throughout the front porch again. I know Tatuaje is doing that. And then one of the other things that we added new this year, there will be a welcome cigar each of the days of the show, so people will be able to get that. And I think the lineup for Friday with some of the cigars, people are going to be incredibly enthusiastic and waiting to come and try it. We have the LFD, a hospitality panel, and a couple other really interesting things.
Now, did I hear too? Were you guys gonna have liquor on the floor this year? Like
It's
liquor
possible.
vendors?
We're working towards that. It'll probably be two or three,
Okay.
kind of working with the cigar brands themselves. Honestly, we don't have space to accommodate too many liquor brands. We've actually had to downsize the PCA booth to accommodate additional cigar brands. So it's going to be a sold out trade show floor again. We had, I think, 70 new ones last year. Most of those have retained this year, and we added about another 20 new exhibitors that were not at the show last year.
Wow.
So, and we're still booking booths. I think all the way until March, first week of March, Lisa is still getting folks, and we've been more stringent on some of the policies where we're like, look, if you don't pay, we have to release the space because there's a line of people that want to come and participate in the show. And I think part of that has to do with a lot of the outreach that we've done. We did the World Cigar Show in Dubai, and it was profitable for us year one. We had 60 exhibitors, and half of them I had never heard of before. And we've had some of those that have since decided to come to the United States for our trade show.
Yeah, I know. Some people were talking about the Dubai show since you bring that up. Um, and I heard I wasn't there. I didn't talk to many people, but what I heard was mostly positive. People liked it and um, excited to go back and whatnot. I think Coop's trying to go. I think maybe I don't know. But yeah, I mean it's interesting, to see stuff like that, and and well, since I mentioned Coop, I will say he's been to Dubai a few times for his other job.
Yep.
But of course, while he was there, and I'm sure you know this, but for people who don't know, um, you know, obviously in his downtime, it's all cigars. And I'll tell you, he's been telling me, he's like, you got to go to Dubai. It's a great cigar city. It's a great cigar city. That is a if you like cigars, that's a great place to smoke.
It's
So
insane. You can smoke almost anywhere.
wow.
I saw people in restaurants, and I felt like awkward. I had cigars on me, and I'm like, do I actually light up? And then, even like nightclubs and restaurants with Michelin stars. I mean, we had an event at a Michelin star restaurant that the Leaf Master, Raid, one of our partners in that, he hosted, and it was just incredible. Dubai as a city itself is attractive for people to go. And it was a whole new market. I had never been to Dubai before this. It is not our show. We're a marketing partner for it, but there's a revenue share component,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the beauty of it. Of like, we got to do a conference, we got to engage with new attendees. I mean, there were 1,700 attendees for the cigar portion alone. I think we're going to double that next year. I know some major brands have already said that they plan on going, and like this year for the social events there, I know we're planning a desert smoke with camels, and like we're kind of going above and beyond with. I'm big into hospitality and the overall experience. I want people to have a good time. obviously conduct business, but to have memorable experiences. And, that transcends whether it's New Orleans, Dubai, Las Vegas. I mean, for our board dinner and sponsor dinner for Las Vegas, we're doing it at the UFC Apex, which is kind of an incredible venue that people will talk about. They'll get to, go into the ring and take photos, and who knows, maybe I'll fight somebody.
My money's on Josh.
I know that would be now, Josh. You might be onto something there. You just get in the ring. You got to who do we put Josh up against though?
Ooh.
See, that's the question.
Is it PCA on PCA action?
Is it, yeah? Do we keep it like within the industry, or yeah? I mean, that would be interesting. I would pay to see that.
I always joke with Scott Pierce and I are good friends, and he's over at CA, and I'm like, oh, let's go in the ring. We'll duke it out.
No, that's cool though. I mean, I've heard a lot of people talk about, like, for example, which I know you've been to, like Dortmund, for example, like the Inter Tobacco show. And, I know it's a different kind of show, but a lot of people who I've talked to over the years are like, yeah, I mean, Inter Tobacco is a different kind of show. You should go, eventually just, to experience it and see what it's like. And it's kind of a different flow and this and that. And, but the one thing is, like, it's just very industrial when you go. There's not really a lot of exciting. Like, you go in, you go to the show, you leave, you're done. Like, that's it. It is nothing. It's not a lot. It's not a lot of frills. It's kind of very cut and dry. And I'm like, oh, okay. So to hear about all these other events, like in Dubai, just the PCA, like all the other cool stuff that people do, like, that's exciting. I mean, if you're gonna travel to a show, I mean, the extras are always good.
I mean, we kicked it off at the Four Seasons Churchill Lounge, and it overlooks the whole city in Dubai, like the skyscrapers, just astonishing. And we had a diplomatic event, so I think there were 13 ambassadors or embassies that were present. So, like, there was a international affairs angle to this as well. And I think this year we're actually going a day before or a day after to Abu Dhabi and doing the diplomatic event there. We think we'll even get more embassies to participate there. So, I think some of this is making cigars more mainstream, acceptable, and learning from our peers. I mean, London has an amazing cigar scene as well, and I think a lot of the folks in London were transplanted to Dubai. And that's where a lot of the hospitality sector, mainly hotels, restaurants, but cigar lounges. I was astonished that you could go to nearly any 5-star, 4-star hotel, and they had a dedicated cigar lounge. And I'm like, why don't we have this here? And, I've been fortunate to go and travel and meet a lot of my counterparts around the world. I went to the ECMA meeting this past year, and in the European Parliament, they had a smoking lounge. So I went back to D.C. and I started yelling at the members of Congress and the congressional staff. I'm like, we need one of these here. Like, we can't have the Europeans beating us. So it's kind of funny just to compare and contrast, what is acceptable and, how people enjoy cigars.
Yeah, I feel like in Europe, how do I say this? The U.S. is the biggest cigar market, right? But I feel like the cigar culture in Europe is, and I could be wrong, I haven't been over there, but I feel like the culture of it is, like, I don't want to say bigger, but it's different than it is here. Like, I feel like it could be upscale here, but it also could be kind of casual, where I feel like in Europe it's still kind of like, it's very extra.
You wear a certain suit and tie, and it's a full experience. Someone lights your cigar with white gloves on, and it is very different. And you're seeing some places in major cities that are adopting that model, especially if you have cigar bars. That's kind of the natural, the high-end spirits, the high-end food pairings, chocolates, coffees, things like that. And but you're right. I think the cigar, even though it's a luxury product, it's very democratized in the United States, where like you can get a really good cigar in certain states for $8, and like that, you can compare that to a $50 cigar that you can get elsewhere in the world.
Yeah, especially when you talk about Cuban cigars. I mean, those are through the roof right now. So over in Europe, where they're obviously more accessible. I don't want to say easily accessible, but generally more accessible. You walk into a store and you pay $200 for a Cohiba. Like, yeah, I think someone with gloves on, to give you that whole experience, and that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I mean, I haven't been over there myself, but I've wanted to. I've heard a lot of interesting different countries. There's special spots. I'm sure you know probably a lot of them. But the one thing I will say, not to kind of fully transition, but kind of a little bit, when you talk about the health of the cigar industry, here versus over there, it also is very different in a different way. I know Europe does, and it's more country by country. Versus here, it's all states where it's country by country over there. But generally, across the European Union, there's some consistency. But like you have countries that are, proposing a lot of the things that we kind of see over here. I know that there's countries that over there that already have like plain packaging, for example, or there's generational ban. Is there any European country that has a generational ban, like countrywide in effect?
Not in effect right now.
I know,
There's
like New Zealand
on the table. Yeah, New Zealand reversed theirs.
They
So
did.
It was in effect, and then a new government came in and reversed it.
Oh, I actually didn't realize that. Okay, well, that's good.
And we gave testimony. Ryan Parada, who is now a consultant for us, no longer in house, he gave testimony virtually for New Zealand.
Really? That's good. So, I mean, this is the PCA going outside the U.S. walls.
We're comparing notes. We're working with like local partners and sharing information. So like the ECMA, Paul Varakis does a really good job over there. And, we share studies. We recently did a tax cap and tariff study that we actually partnered with CAA on, and we got those results. That was a multi-month study. Now we have better data. We've shared that with our state associations to kind of combat tax increases. You're right. The state level is where we're seeing the biggest concern. I think that there's 18 active threats right now, whether it's smoking restrictions or licensing, red tape, or tax increases. Glenn, I think, gave testimony this week for 3 state legislatures alone.
Wow. Yeah, I saw. Shout out to Michael Correa, Regency Cigar in Rhode Island. Great job. I know he posted something. He was going to the Rhode Island State House on something. I want to say, and you'll correct me if I know you probably know about it. They're proposing a 300% tobacco tax increase.
Yeah,
something like that.
With Rhode Island, we sent out an alert to folks, and unfortunately, in New England, there's very few tobacconists, so it is much more challenging to fight back than a state, like Pennsylvania or Florida or Texas or even California for that matter. Maine, we had an issue last go around. I'm going to Maine. One of the other things that we're doing in the lead up of the show, we're going to a lot of places where the PCA, they've never had a representative come to their shop. We're going to non-members, half non-members for recruitment, and the other half to, show thanks, get feedback, sit down for an hour. I recently was in New Mexico where we did that, and they rolled out the red carpet. They were very excited, and it was proactive. In New Mexico, their taxation threat is next year. And we were kind of like, look, hey, you need to be prepared for this. There's going to be a new governor next year. So you got to get organized. We have our state grant program. We told them, like, you should apply, set up a state association. We have a guide. We can help you with all of that. But Maine and Rhode Island, I believe Maria from our team is going to go to Rhode Island and kind of recruit some new members so that we can have a better political force. And then I will be going for like a day and a half to Maine before the show. But we have Mississippi before the show also. So some places that otherwise there hasn't been interactions with the PCA other than the trade show itself. And we're getting a lot of new ideas from it. The Find Your Tobacconist tool was from a visit, sitting down with a retailer. We're working on a new insurance program because a lot of people have been losing their business insurance. That came from a contact in a lounge in New Mexico.
Because of tobacco?
Yeah, basically, some of the bigger companies, insurance companies, canceled policies because there was a lot of claims on head shops and vape shops, and basically they said, it's not profitable, and we're trying to get them to differentiate between a premium cigar shop and your kind of depot of all products.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, that's too bad. I didn't realize that was an issue. But yeah, that's troubling. I remember a couple years ago talking to David Garofalo, and I remember him saying that some of the credit card processing companies were saying nope, just being like, no, we're not being involved in tobacco sales.
Yeah.
And that was an issue. So it's unfortunate too. I mean, people act like you're out here peddling crystal meth, and they're like, oh, I can't be part of that. It's like, come on.
Well, it's either we partner and have in the terms of service in our contracts that they will be knowingly and willingly work with tobacco companies, or we do some of these things ourselves. And like the credit card processing, I think we're up to 4 or 5 partnerships. A really cool thing that we launched since the last show was a partnership with Eventbrite. So, any PCA member that uses Eventbrite, they get a discount on that. But part of it was, we want to ensure that cigar events can be still listed on Eventbrite. That it's a twofold tactic. My job, I think in the last 5 or 6 years here has really evolved, and I'm doing a lot of, stakeholder relations, building partnerships, and it has a connected value to the advocacy front, but it is very proactive in nature, seeing that the threats are not necessarily coming exclusively from government; they're coming from private sector as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of facets that come into play. When talking about the cigar business, those outside factors, right? And the Eventbrite thing, I remember that from last year, and that's a good point. Kind of making sure that cigar stuff can stay on platforms like that, and because I know that there's other people who've used it. I think Drew Estate uses Eventbrite for the barn smoker tickets, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
They did.
So, which I know you know all about that. So. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even really think about that because, imagine them being like, oh no, like you can't sell your tickets here.
Well, I had to do research too when we did the cigar charity events.
Yeah.
We had to find a processor who was willing to take donation raffles for what we were doing.
Yeah.
And not drop them because they didn't want to be affiliated with tobacco. Like they didn't want us to use their platform for it. So that took me some trial and error to figure out
the first year.
We had to do it by hand.
But it was pretty quiet. The second year, they reached out to me.
Yeah.
And they were like, we appreciate, you guys, whatever. I mean, they made money off of it, so I mean, but they had said like, we have no problem with you doing it. Just the only thing we ask, can you just put like on every prize in the description.
That was the second, year.
They were really good about it, and they were like, we got no complaints. Just can you just put in there like, for 21 up, that's all we need. And I'm like, all right, because I wasn't trying to rock the boat, and it wasn't that much of an ask. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'll put that in there. And it was like, only for, entries only, 21 and over, this and that. Yeah. That's all I had to do. Just a little thing at the bottom of all the description boxes for each prize. That was it. They had no issue with it. It went great. And we did that 2 more years. And we had no issues with that. So, yeah, that's a good. That's another one too. Yeah, because there were others that were like, yeah, no, you can't.
What was that website? I can't.
The one we use?
Yeah.
Rally Up.
Yeah, Rally Up.
Rally Up.
That was one. They're tobacco friendly for hosting charitable, like if you're a nonprofit.
Yes.
But for tobacco related.
Yes.
Things.
And it becomes more difficult the larger the company too, because you can't find a decision maker that you can actually talk to and have a conversation. And like, especially when you have like white labeled like partners, they will blame each other. And like, we've dealt with this with texting, some messages not being sent. And like the shaft protocol, I think I talked about it on a previous show with you all.
I think you did.
They basically point fingers at one another and they blame each other, and it's just a loop, and you don't really get anywhere. You think you solved it, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh no, it's this partner."
It just keeps going around, and they just keep passing the buck. Like, no, it's not me, it's him. Oh, well, it's not me, it's that guy. Well, I answer to him, so oh well, actually, this woman's in charge, and it's just and then it's you're stuck in that like circle of death. You just don't get anywhere. That's always unfortunate. There are a couple more state things I want to get to, but before I do, federal level, kind of all quiet on the Western Front right now.
For the most part, obviously the tariff situation is still, top of mind with the 18% Nicaragua, 10% Honduras, 10% DR. Those rates don't appear to be going anywhere. I know that the Supreme Court has a decision there. There was the threat of the increased tariff on Nicaragua, and we had a series of meetings with the administration, and they understood the economic impact to the United States, and it was very refreshing to see that small business, Main Street America. We led with the statistics and the data that I referenced that we commissioned in the study, but talking about how the impacts would be, and I've been saying this left and right, that the United States is the #1 market for premium cigars, and I want to retain that throughout my tenure, and we want to offer adults that want to enjoy premium cigars the ability to do so. If you don't want to smoke, don't go to a cigar lounge. That's kind of the general policy that we operate under. And, the administration was, very understanding of that. But it's something that you have to continually, you can't just turn off. It's, we got a favorable decision for the time being. And same thing goes with taxation. I think that, in November, you'll have the elections. There could be some changes in Congress, and then we could be battling tax increases again. So, we have to be very cognizant. I know that the definition of a premium cigar, that lawsuit is still out there. That could be decided at any point. But federally, we are in a strong position, and we have a lot of allies right now in Congress. The Cigar Caucus is 60 members of Congress, bipartisan, and we continue to have engagements. And that Cigar Caucus in particular was very active on the tariff issue, we're pleased with the level of outreach, and also working together with the other associations. And when it comes to a lot of trade and international policy, the egos kind of get we brush them away. Everybody's working together, and I think that was a testament, seeing that, having the threat of up to 100% tariff, and really having no change for our industry on that was an important win.
Yeah. I mean, so at least there's that. I mean, that's good. I mean, because federal's a big one, so at least that's good. But kind of going back to state, I mean, state to state is still serious. I mean, it's not everybody, but it's still, it's still an impact. I mean, we talk about California for a second. In the fall, we talked a lot about the unflavored tobacco list, the UTL law that went into effect. Has there been any updates with that? Any changes?
No, there's been the litigation, which has not has not been successful thus far. There's still a couple hearings related. There were 2 lawsuits on that. This week, we actually released a guide for retailers, kind of what it takes to ship product into California, because some retailers have their own house blends, and people are buying those. So we clarified that and gave a little bit of background and context to that. But it's a challenge over there. We have a new California State Association. We're hoping to introduce legislation to repeal that. The challenge there is the political trade winds, and the makeup of California at the local level as well as the state level is not favorable, and that's across all systems, executive, legislative, even the judiciary. We haven't seen the ability to move the needle over there.
Now, are there any states outside of California that are considering something similar right now? Any rumblings on that where you could see this happen elsewhere?
I think, if you look and it hasn't, Hawaii's always a mess. Hawaii introduces some crazy stuff. I could see that coming there. In terms of crazy legislation, the generational smoking bans, Tennessee keeps introducing it for some reason. You have kind of these, I guess, out there legislators that will introduce things. And I think a lot of times, we don't want to scare people of this is impending. We want to let people know that this is in the pipeline. It's possible that it comes. We will tell people, all throughout the process. And I think one of the bigger challenges with California was they didn't accept public comment. They did the regulation through an emergency rule. And so we didn't even have the ability to testify or get retailers to testify. So, through normal order process, you can at least present the counter arguments, the data, the nuances of premium cigars, the economic impact. And, we've had to do a lot of that through the litigation process, which is expensive. And, kudos to a lot of the Cigar Rights of America companies and CRA itself for leading that. We supported it financially, but those companies took the lead in the lawsuits, and hopefully we get some positive outcome, or it shows that the industry is watching, and we're not just going to just because there's a loss at the legislative level doesn't mean that we can't try everything to overturn it. I expect that there'll be some legislation introduced at a certain point when the political trade winds do change. And you can finesse things. I mean, the first iteration of it, I remember the wholesale price was $50, and it, $12 wholesale was still not great. But there were some tweaks that were made in the original law, and then there were also some tweaks in the batching and ease of the process. The process is extremely clunky, and there's still a lot of concerns and questions that are raised by our manufacturers and California distributors.
Yeah, the whole thing with California was it was shocking. It's one of those, I think, that when people heard it was like, wait, what? This is happening? This is a thing? And talking to manufacturers, they were just flabbergasted. I mean, I remember, there's companies that just said, we're not paying that. We just won't sell there, which that sucks. I mean, for business.
Yeah. Well, and then you think about the creativity of limited editions and house blends. I mean, the California really bolstered the Nevada market. Nevada has a favorable make up for cigars, a tax cap in place, and you're going to see a lot of people purchasing their products in Nevada versus California.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's actually a good point. All the shops over there, Las Vegas, Reno, you know, all the common places. I'm sure a lot of Californians cross the border for. I mean, we see it here. We see it here in New England because we live in the great state of New Hampshire. We had zero sales tax and zero tobacco tax on cigars. So there's a lot of people from Massachusetts that are coming up over the border. I mean, when I lived down there, I did too. I mean, you come up here and you buy it in bulk, and prices are always fair at these shops. And then you're not paying any taxes on top of it. I mean, it's sad for shops in Mass, but I mean, what are you going to do?
Yep, New York has that with Pennsylvania. I mean, you see, it really doesn't have the policy implications. It's bad public policy that a lot of these anti-groups are pushing. And California was a gut punch because we had just gotten over the federal lawsuits and the big wins, the trifecta, and then all of a sudden you have to deal with this at the state level, and it was very concerning, and there were a lot of meetings and a lot of frustration, and there's still frustration about it. I feel bad for a lot of the California retailers. There's some great shops and lounges out there that are unfortunately being penalized for the political system that they're in right now.
Yeah, that is a shame. That is too bad. Hopefully it gets better, because it's just there's just nothing good about that, and it's a shame. Retailers and consumers first out there, then the manufacturers, that are kind of secondary, but still it affects their sales too. It's just everybody loses. So hopefully that gets better, and don't know if it will. It's usually when things go in, they're tough to take out, but it's been done, and just that's it. Just hope that it gets better. And you guys, obviously, I know you guys are involved in it, and you guys are doing your thing. So just all the luck to you guys as well on everything you're doing in that situation. That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
I think the biggest challenge is when you have 18 states with active threats, how do you prioritize, limited staff, but also limited financial resources too. And you can throw in the other associations, and, it's very challenging in California. If we spent every penny in CAA and CRA, I don't know that the outcome would have been any different.
Yeah. Sometimes there's just fights you can't win. But that's too bad. But again, that's why we have you guys on the show, and we talk about PCA, CRA, and all the stuff that you guys do, and why you exist, and why it's important to hear about it, because if you live in California, I mean, boom.
And why consumers should follow you.
Yeah,
for state alerts.
You got to stay on top of that stuff.
Yeah. And we're improving our website, integrating Cigar Action with our main website, making it a little bit easier to use, and trying to get the materials out there, from the onset, let people know what's going on, and then mobilize folks. To me, the most important metric of success for my role is membership. I got to recruit members. People ask me what I do for a living, and I say I'm the National Sales Director for the Premium Cigar Association. And, I want to make sure that we have an army that we can fight these challenges. And part of it is raising money. Part of it is, the outreach, the public relations. But we've made a lot of steps in professionalizing the industry with educational partnerships. I think a lot of people were shocked when you had a major university partner with the cigar industry trade group. And we're now going to announce our third university partnership coming up. So we're working with mainstream brands in the luxury sector. We're working, with major sports. It's a little bit of a different mentality. We're aggressive. We did the Myth versus Fact recently and challenged a non-smoking group and did the red line and gave them an F for some preposterous piece of misleading garbage that they put out, to put it lightly. And I think we have another one coming out pretty soon on the World Health Organization tobacco framework, where we're at, correcting the record on some of this stuff. And look, when I first started with the association, it really, Scott and others, it was kind of an unwritten rule you wouldn't go after these so-called public health groups. And the fact of the matter remains, they have a vested interest to always amplify problems even when they don't exist for job security. So it might be another sector, it might be a different product category, but they're going to lump us in, and we're not going to sit there and just accept it.
Right.
This isn't a slow bleed out. This is a fight back mounted defense.
Yeah. Les Mans here comments on, look forward as always to seeing you in 58 days at BCA 2026 New Orleans.
Les is great. He was one of our adjunct faculty at the FIU course, and he did a really good job talking about his partnerships, and that was amazing. I mean, the 2 weeks of the show obviously is a major week for us, week plus, but last year we had the World Cigar Show and the FIU within a 2-week period, and those were two major initiatives. And this year, we're doing a book. We're going to old school media, highlighting retailers. So we have a couple fun and interesting projects that are in the works. That book will be released in 2027, but they've already started writing about it. And it's an interesting way where, it's a win-win for everybody. Retailers will be able to sell this book at Keystone, but it's also a positive message, and kind of in line with that, the uniqueness of the American cigar market. So it's around the world in 80 cigars, the American dream.
Very, very cool. So and so the book also highlights retailers. Is that what you said?
10 retailers, 5 manufacturers, the trade show, and then the World Cigar Show and the Leaf Master in Dubai.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Very cool. And so that's coming out next year.
That'll be out next year. Nick Hammond, the author who's done 2 iterations already of the Around the World in 80 Cigars, we approached him and said, look, we love your series, we love your writing, and I also, have been in contact, and will announce a partnership shortly with Aaron Sigmund. So we want to work with some of the preeminent folks. Public relations is another area where we saw a little bit of a void in the industry of we got to tell this positive message, and you can't just say, well, kids aren't smoking cigars. You can't leave it at that. You have to also showcase some of the things. And so we're collecting more information and stories. And I know that you all do charitable work within the cigar industry, quantifying some of that. And, also it's funny, I've poked holes and have been across the room of some of these public health groups that are attacking the cigar industry. And then, for a decade, they've been accepting charitable donations for their research arm. So calling out hypocrisies like that and saying, look, there is a positive aspect for the cigar industry, and telling that message in a very aggressive way.
Yeah, I think that'll be interesting. That'll be cool. I look forward to that, and I'm familiar with both authors, and I think that'll be really cool. I've met Aaron before. He's a fun guy, and he's done some really cool work as well. But no, that's good to know, and we'll definitely keep an eye out for that one. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like you definitely got your hands full, for sure. You make it look easy, but you got a lot of different things going on over there, Josh. God bless you.
It's a positive thing. I love it. I mean, I've had my dream job for 6 years. I mean, I'm a cigar enthusiast first and foremost. I'm protecting what I enjoy, for selfish reasons I like to enjoy cigars. I met my closest friends, mentors, and, I'm fortunate to get the 5-year contract with the PCA, and I already have told the board, like, 2033 is the 100th anniversary of the association. I want to be there. I want to preside over a white party at the Washington Monument. So we have some lofty goals, and we're going to continue to do that. And I want to work with everybody in this sector. I'm not throwing. My job is to protect premium cigars. My job is not to throw other entities under the bus, other product categories. And that mentality has proven to be very beneficial. I'm getting ready to go out to TPE before our show and do education sessions there. We have a partnership, and Cretek, Phillips and King have been wonderful to work with. And they'll be at our trade show. There's room for everybody in this space. And instead of cannibalizing things, let's partner together on things where it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's important, strength in numbers, partnerships, relationships. I mean, in any business, I mean, that's your backbone right there. So anything you can do to build up some strength and, work together, I think that's important. Let's mix it up a little bit. Let's give Josh a little bit of a break from his usual. I know we have a couple of things that we are going to do next. I'll do Steve's first, and then we'll do the other one. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. So, it's time for Saka's Gripe of the Week, brought to you by Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. Always a fan favorite at the PCA trade show. One of the busiest booths, one of the craziest booths. I mean, I don't have to tell you, Josh. You see it every year. Everybody wants to be in that booth and talk to Steve. But if you know Steve, he's always got something. He's always got something just kind of itching him there. He doesn't really have a gripe this week, from what I gather. I don't see any gripes. So I'm
Yeah, no, he did not have a Facebook gripe of the week.
Yeah, he didn't have a gripe this week. Last week it was the review that Coop did on the Portillo's hot dogs, and he did not like that. He was so bothered. He was very bothered by that. Yeah. He wrote a thing like this, just going after him. So that was last week's gripe. So this week I'll fill in for Steve because he didn't have anything, at least publicly, that he shared with the world. I'm sure Cindy knows.
We should text him.
I should text Cindy. Be like, Cindy, what is Steve upset about this week?
Yeah.
What's he complaining about? She'll be like, oh, I got one. I'm gonna save that for later. Yeah. This was one that I had ready in case I needed. So I'll make it brief, even though the football season is over. My gripe is that Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft got snubbed in their first round of voting for the Hall of Fame. I don't think that's right. So many arguments that could be made here. Josh, I don't know. What team do you follow?
So I'm a Bills fan, sadly.
I don't want to spend like an hour on this, but I can't help myself. So as a Bills fan, look, I'm from New England. You're a Bills fan. It is what it is. But what I will tell you as a Patriots fan, I really like Josh Allen. And I said going into the playoffs this year, look, if it's not us, which I was surprised we even got as far as we did. And honestly, I really wasn't upset about it because I was like, honestly, I didn't even think we were going to get to the playoffs. So the fact that we even made it this far, I set my expectations. But I said, if it's not us, the only other team I really wanted to pull for was the Bills. Because, I mean, you guys don't have one. And Josh Allen's a great guy. It's hard to not like Josh Allen. Even as a fan of another, it's hard, man. I look at that guy and I'm like, even if I wanted to, I couldn't hate this guy. I mean, that's a guy I look at, I'm like, I want to go have a beer with him and hang out. He just seems like a good dude, and he's a good player, and he hasn't done well, in the playoffs. Yeah. But I want him to. As a Patriots fan, I want him to. I want him to win one. So just know that.
I wanted the Patriots to win the Super Bowl. I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania, which is an hour and 15 minutes from Buffalo. So I grew up as a Bills and a Sabres fan. And I was more heartbroken with the Sabres had great talent for a number of years and couldn't win a cup. So I would rather the Sabres win the Stanley Cup than the Bills the Super Bowl. But it has been a tough.
Fair.
You like to see these mid-market teams do well. They're not the Yankees or the Dodgers, or they have the salaries of cap room of some of those major market teams. So I'm a Capitals fan now. I've been in DC now for 13 years, and when Ovechkin got his cup, that was exciting. I mean, this city party, unlike any team I've ever seen celebrate. My hobbies now are I'm in the hospitality business. I have a couple restaurants and bars, and I see the players celebrating. And Ovechkin one year watched the Super Bowl. I think it was 2 Super Bowls at my sports bar, and it's always cool to see the athletes kind of let their hair down a little bit.
Yeah. People forget they're people too. They like to go out and relax like we do. I mean, just because everybody knows who they are doesn't mean that they have to hide. They like to do their thing. But no, that's cool. That's cool. And when he got the goal record last year, that was cool to watch.
Yeah.
With Gretzky. Gretzky was there, and I think his wife was there with him. And when he scored that goal, what was it, like 900 and? Was it like 900 and like
895 or something?
895. Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah.
He's had a good season this year. I mean, if he plays another one or another 2, he could hit 1,000.
Yeah, I know his time's kind of running out, but yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, that could that would be cool. But that's our gripe of the week. There's so much I could say, but I won't. I'm trying to keep it brief. A lot of success. It's hard to argue that. You can say what you want. There's some parts of it I kind of agree with. Who was really the magic? Was it Tom or Bill? But at the end of the day, Tom wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for Bill getting him going, and he was still the head coach. They still won. And then you got Robert Kraft. I mean, he took a team that was almost laughed out of town, built him a new stadium, set him up for. I mean, he's done more. Robert Kraft has done more in New England than Jerry Jones has done in Dallas since he bought the team. I mean, since Robert Kraft bought the Patriots, the Cowboys, because everyone always looks at Jerry Jones. And look, Jerry Jones, he's done his thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away. But, in the last 30 years, what have the Cowboys really done? I'm sorry. It's true. It's hard. So that's my gripe of the week. You're not going to change my mind on it. I'm from New England, so that is what it is. I'm going to die on that hill. So, but that leads us to our last segment of the show, which is always our more fun segment of the show. It's our trivia segment brought to you by Perdomo Cigars, featuring our 2024 and 2025 Cigar of the Years. 2025 is the Perdomo Legacy Shade Grown Epicure. Very, very excited about that. Back-to-back win for Perdomo this year, as well as our Factory of the Year 2025. So Perdomo's did pretty well. Did pretty well with us. Nicole, I'll let you do your thing.
Okay, so I have some basic trivia this week for you both, centered around New Orleans.
Oh.
Shocker. For our trivia segment. So,
very appropriate for the trade show.
Very appropriate. So first question, which famous square in the French Quarter hosts street performers and artists? A, Lafayette Square, B, Jackson Square, C, Washington Square, or D, Royal Square?
I have a good guess, but Josh, you're the guest, so it's really on you. But I'm also going to play with you.
Embarrassing. I'm going to do this show, answer incorrectly, and get a call from the New Orleans Convention Center Authority and say, "Hey, you got to study up." I would say A, Lafayette Square.
That's honestly what I was going to guess too. So we're going to go in this together.
Okay, wrong. It was B.
Really? What was B?
Jackson Square.
Jackson Square.
Jackson Square.
Why did we think Lafayette Square? What's in Lafayette Square?
I am not sure. I don't do more research than that. I know the answer.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you do know.
That's okay.
Okay, what's the next one?
Keep going. And see, here, I was thinking that some of these questions were too easy, so I chose like kind of.
Dude, last week I did
one.
golf with Les Mann. I'm like, oh, I'll do golf trivia, and I was going through. I did like the first two, and then I was going through, and I'm like, even some of the ones that were like they seemed tough to me. I'm like, this is gonna be a soft toss for him. Soft toss. I struggled to find tough ones for him because he really knows golf. I asked him a question. He was like, you know what? It's so easy before I even answer. And I'm like, oh, God, here we go.
Well, now I'm thinking I need to do easier ones for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. All right, which dish is a Creole rice dish similar to Spanish paella? A, gumbo. Oh, God, I can't say that. What's B?
Is it etouffee?
Yeah.
Etouffee.
C, jambalaya, and D, red beans and rice. So I guess which of those is most similar to Spanish paella?
Paella?
Paella. This is why I can't pronounce things.
I would say jambalaya.
That's where I'm going.
Okay, that's right.
All right, good.
All right.
I was worried the rice
Okay.
and beans thing was going to get me, but yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's got to be jambalaya. Which was good. Really, really good.
Let's see.
The amount of charbroiled oysters I had last year. Like every restaurant we went
That's
to.
what I'm looking forward to the most. The charbroiled oysters.
I know.
Okay,
I
we'll
like
do.
those muffalata sandwiches. That's my favorite.
He didn't get one last time.
Yeah, I didn't, and I regretted it.
And I'm like, that's what you have, because we didn't go together, and I've been to New Orleans before without him. So, I did all of those things. And I'm like, why wouldn't you have gone to get one of those sandwiches?
I know.
Even the airport has a good one. I've had it there.
Really?
Before. It's not bad.
Okay. I didn't know that either. That's good to know. And I'm very, very tied into my Italian roots too. So that was a swing and a miss for me. I should have done that.
Okay.
When you gotta have something.
What?
Are they that easy?
Yeah,
Or-
they're. You know what? I feel like they're really, really easy, or they're kind of hard.
Well, give us a
So-
really hard one.
Okay. So, which famous New Orleans cemetery style features above ground tombs?
Oh,
A,
I know about this.
catacombs, B, mausoleum gardens, C, cities of the dead, and D, tomb terraces.
I know this one. I've read about this before. Can you read them off again? Like the multiple choice?
Yeah. A, catacombs, B, mausoleum gardens, C, cities of the dead, and D, tomb terraces.
I'm going Cities of the Dead.
Josh?
I was going to say mausoleum gardens.
That was my number 2, but something's telling me it's C.
All right, you're right. It's C.
Really?
Yeah. Sorry, Josh.
Yeah, that was my number 2 though. Like if it's not that, but I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, the other ones are way too easy.
It's one cemetery?
No, there's multiple.
Or it's
but,
multiple.
that's just what they referred to. them
Yeah.
as.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was this one. Where is it? It was like, what holiday is usually celebrated right before Ash Wednesday?
Mardi Gras.
Yeah, that's. I know. If it wasn't Ash Wednesday today, I feel like that one might be harder. But
I forgot about Ash Wednesday. Then I was walking around the hospital today, and I saw everyone, and I was like, "Oh, that's today." I forgot about that. Yeah.
We had, I think, 3 king cakes that were sent to the office. Like they've been here for like 6 weeks. I've had king cakes. All the vendors are like, "Oh, Washington D.C. We're going to send these king cakes." So I started giving away king cakes. I'm a member at a cigar lounge. I gave the staff a king cake there, and it's fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like cake. I could do that. I mean, I think after the second cake, I'd be like, all right, I don't know how much more I can do.
Pecan pie. That is my guilty pleasure addiction.
Not bad. I'll accept that. That's a good one. That's a good one to have. Yeah, it's a good guilty pleasure. Pie's good. I like pie. I don't eat enough pie. I should.
Because I don't make enough of it.
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, it's okay. You know what? We can rectify that. But that was our trivia segment, brought to you by Perdomo Cigars. As we get towards the end of the show here, before we wrap up, first and foremost, once again, I want to say thank you to Josh, for being here and taking the time and talking to us. I know it's a lot. We try to cram it in, and I'm sure there's a lot more we could do. But and I know you're busy, so thank you very much for being here and talking to us. And good luck with everything, on your plate. Good luck with the trade show. I know we'll see you down there. I know it's a lot. It's a big undertaking, but you guys have been doing a great job. So we have faith that you'll have another great year, and you just keep at it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on the show and giving me the platform. Happy to do this at any time and be a resource. And hopefully this year we'll get you that muffaletta sandwich and complete that task. That's the top objective.
I have to cross it off the list. I can't believe I goofed that. I have to fix it now. I think that's where we go. Either our first lunch. I think that's our first lunch. Because I already know we got our first spot stakeholded. But maybe our first for dinner. But I think our first lunch we'll do that. That'll be cool. It's exciting. 58 days to go. We'll be there in 57 days, right? 56 days. Because we're getting in a few days earlier. Yeah. So it'll be exciting. But yeah. And as always, head over to premiumcigars.org. That's where you can find the Premium Cigar Association. Sign up for alerts, take actions, stuff like that. Get on their email list. Stay in the know. Stay connected. You can follow us too, but definitely go right to them too. I mean, it's nice to go right to the Premium Cigar Association and stay on top of stuff that's going on and all the other different things that they're doing, like some of the stuff Josh talked about. I always stress that. That's always very important. So make sure you check that out. And as always, you can head over to smokintabacco.com for more news and reviews and updates from the cigar industry. And like and follow us everywhere you can find your podcasts. That's going to be our show for this week. Great time having Josh on the show. And I think we're doing a spare notes this week. I have to double check with Coop. I know he's traveling from Pro Cigar. I think he's back for Saturday. I have to double check. But I think he is. Josh? What day does Pro Cigar end? Is it Friday?
Friday it ends. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll be back for that. So I have to double check with him. But anyway, that's our show for this week, guys. Appreciate you guys all listening to us.